Great. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us at the ELK 2026 lunch session. We are very happy to have Dr. Anthony Piña from Illinois State University, where Anthony is the Chief Online Learning Officer. And the session is titled To QM OLC, CSU, or OSCQR, Comparing Online Course Quality Rubrics. And I'm so excited about this session, and I'll hand it off to our presenter. Thanks, Dr. Piña.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited for this presentation and really excited, frankly, to be doing the lunch presentation. So feel free to eat and enjoy your lunches and all of that. And I hope to give you some things that you can use. I'm getting over a bit of a cold, so if you notice a little hoarseness in my voice, it's there, but we're going to have fun anyway. And so we're going to talk about to QM, OLC, CSU, or OSCQR, and compare online course quality rubrics. So my objectives for this particular session is that, one, you'll be able to discuss the need for quality assurance in online education, compare different online quality assurance tools, and determine which tools best address the needs, goals, and priorities of your institution, because all of us are at different institutions, different cultures, different particular needs. And so it's nice that we have a plurality of tools to choose from so that we're not all saddled with one particular tool. So, before we get started, this gives me a chance to hopefully build up some credibility and to pay attention to this while you're eating lunch. Like I said, I am Chief Online Learning Officer at Illinois State University. I've been in the field of educational technology for about 37 years now, and I love it as much as I ever have. I'm also a happily married husband and father of 6 children. This particular picture was taken about 18 years ago. And so that little guy in the bottom right-hand corner is now 23 years old and taller than all of his sisters. And also, I am the lead guitarist for a local classic rock band called the Rusty Pickups. And we do 50s to 80s classic hits, and people seem to still like listening to that stuff, and we sure like playing it. And so I also, besides being a practitioner and an administrator, I have been faculty member, an instructional designer, staff developer, a researcher, and an author and an editor of books. And these are the 8 books that I have edited with a few different publishers, with Springer, with Information Age, with Brill, and looking forward to an upcoming book with Routledge. So one of the things that I have found is people in my position at the administrative level overseeing online and distance learning tend not to write, because as non-faculty members not worried about tenure, we don't have to publish or perish, which is really nice for me, because that means that I can publish what I want, when I want, with whom, and in the venues that I want. And so one of the other reasons why I love this particular field. I've had the privilege of serving as an online and distance learning consultant for several institutions across the U.S. And again, I love what I do. So why is online quality assurance important? Well, for one thing, probably the most important thing to me is that it promotes a consistent and inclusive student experience. I don't know about your institutions, but the common complaint that I have heard from students is that when I get into an online course, each one looks completely different. faculty members structure them differently. There isn't much consistency. I have to not only learn the content, but I have to learn a new course. I have to learn a new navigation and all. And so quality assurance helps to provide a consistent and inclusive student experience. It also promotes systematic instructional design. So at my institution, faculty are partnered with instructional designers to create template courses or master courses for the university. And in order to do that, and in order to promote the standards, it is necessary to use consistent principles of systematic instructional design to maintain the quality of the course. It also promotes continuous improvement because when you have particular standards and you measure what you're doing against those standards, you not only see what you're doing well, but you're also looking at places to improve. And continuous improvement is one of the hallmarks of, or should be, of higher education. It certainly is for accreditation. We should be learning and doing better with what we do. Having quality assurance in place may also assist with marketing and recruitment efforts. A lot of institutions will tout that their courses are Quality Matters approved or OLC approved, or that they have a particular process of assuring that their courses meet quality. And then the other thing, which is a pragmatic thing, online courses tend to be held to a different set of expectations than face-to-face courses. Face-to-face courses don't have a whole lot of expectations. If you have a faculty member who's qualified to teach, there is a certain assumption that a face-to-face course is going to have a minimum level of quality. But with online, there's always been that kind of suspicious eye that online somehow is not as good as face-to-face. And so by having quality assurance of your online, it not only causes these things to happen, but it also helps when you are meeting accreditation and regulatory requirements. If you have a process, if you have a tool, if you have a way to show that your courses meet minimum standards. And also, it provides kind of a security blanket or peace of mind to leadership to know that their online courses meet a certain standard of quality. So, when you're looking at tools, the ultimate question to ask are, what are your and your institution's needs and goals? So, do you need a tool to evaluate and assess online course quality? Is that what you're really looking for? Are you looking for a tool to evaluate online teaching, which is a different thing? A few years ago, a colleague of mine we were doing a research project on evaluation of online faculty, particularly online adjunct faculty. And we found that the majority of institutions were using the wrong strategy and the wrong tool to evaluate their faculty. They were using tools to evaluate the instructional design of courses. But in many of these cases, the faculty teaching those courses was not the original faculty member or subject matter expert who developed the course. And so they were using the wrong tool to evaluate online teaching. So what are your needs? Do you need a prescribed process or procedure for online course evaluation? It's one thing to have a tool, but how do you use that tool? And are you looking for a tool that has a prescribed way of being used? What about if you're looking for an entity that provides not only the tool, but also provides training and professional development? Are you looking for certification by a recognized outside entity to give your program some more credibility? And then also, of course, if you're looking at tools, your needs and goals, None of us have a whole lot of extra cash floating around. So what are the financial implications of adopting a particular tool for online quality? So as we're looking at these different tools, think about these 6 things and what are the most important things for you and for your organization. Because some of these tools are going to be stronger, and some of these associations that develop and provide these tools will have more of some of these other things than others will. So your needs and goals are primary as far as what your tools are. So for this particular presentation, we're going to look at 5 popular tools for assessing online quality. One is the Quality Matters Higher Ed rubric. The Quality Matters Higher Ed rubric has been around for many years and is the most well-known and widely used of all of these rubrics. Another one that is quite widely used, especially for Blackboard customers, is the Anthology Exemplary Course rubric. Now that Anthology has had some corporate names back, Anthology Exemplary Course rubric is now transitioning back to being Blackboard Exemplary Course rubric. Now the thing about this rubric is it's not just for those who are using the Blackboard LMS. These are standards that can be applied to online courses regardless of what your learning management system is. Another one that is widely used is the California State University Quality Learning and Teaching rubric. When I started using this rubric, probably back in 2008, it was called the rubric for online instruction, and it was offered by California State University at Chico. Well, it's undergone some revisions and now is used by the entire Cal State system as its quality learning and teaching rubric. Another popular one is the SUNY Online Learning Consortium, or the SUNY/Online Learning Consortium OSCQR rubric. For many years, the SUNY OSCQR was the rubric for course quality that was used by the Online Learning Consortium. With the development of different quality scorecards by the Online Learning Consortium, they have recently created their own rubric, which is the Online Learning Consortium Course Review Scorecard. And so OLC now is no longer actively using the OSCQR like it used to be, but the State University of New York system still does use the OSCQR and makes it available to everybody. And in these hyperlinks, and of course we'll make the slides available for you, you can access these particular rubrics for free at these particular links. So what's my experience with these 5? Well, for the most part, quite a bit. I've been using these quite a lot. I've used the Quality Matters rubric since 2004, and currently my institution is a Quality Matters institutional member. We use the CSU ROI and /QLT rubric since 2004. I taught in the California State University system for 9 years. And so this was the rubric that we used as we were developing online and hybrid courses. With the Anthology or Blackboard Exemplary Course, been using that rubric again since 2004. And I was a Blackboard client for over 15 years. I'm now at an institution that uses Canvas, but I use 4 separate versions of Blackboard and have used this exemplary course rubric pretty extensively. I've been using the OSCQR since 2017, which was actually when it was developed, and my institution is currently an OLC institutional member. So what do we do with these? Well, basically, when we created the development standards at my institution, both my current institution and my former institution, we took all of these rubrics, made a spreadsheet with all of the different standards for each rubric. And you're probably not going to be shocked to learn that a lot of the standards were the same across each rubric. And so we kept those, the ones that were common across all of the rubrics. And then for the remainder, the ones that were unique, we basically had a panel and said, okay, is this particular standard, is this a deal breaker or is it a nice to have? If it was a deal breaker, it got put in our standards. If it was a nice to have, it got put into a separate kind of nice to have document. So that's how we've been using these. At my institutions, we have not used one single standard for everything. We've basically taken the different standards and adapted them to our needs, which you can do too. But you can also take any of these standards by themselves and utilize them at your institution, and they will work very well. Well, I haven't mentioned the new OLC course review scorecard because we've just started to implement that, because that's a new thing. I mean, that has been available within the past year. So a lot of experience with these rubrics. So let me start by telling you what are the commonalities, standards that are found in all 5 of these rubrics. So one of the things that all of them have, and again, probably not news to you, that measurable, well-defined course level and module or unit level learning objectives need to be aligned with assessments and with activities. All about alignment. You know, you don't want to have a learning outcome that's not assessed. You don't want to have a learning outcome that doesn't have an activity to work with it. That's instructional design 101 as far as that goes. And so, yeah, keep putting those questions in the chat. And after this presentation, I'll get to all those questions, and then you can also unmute and ask whichever. So other standards found in all 5 courses: intuitive course navigation, clear instruction, and logically organized content. These are minimum expectations for online courses. And so it's not going to be surprising to find them in all 5 of these rubrics. Guidance for students on how to begin the course, navigate content, and understand expectations. You not only have to put them in the course design, but you also have to explain to the students how to use them. Clearly stated and easy to find instructor contact details and communication guidelines is a hallmark across all of these. So if any of you have heard about David Merrill's First Principles of Instruction, where he took all of these instructional design models that were available and whittled them down to what are the principles that underline all of them. These are the principles that underline all of these quality rubrics. Transparent grading criteria, rubrics, and explanations of how student work is evaluated. All of these have them because all online courses should have them. So there are some more. Standards for digital accessibility and universal design, especially now when so much more attention, and rightly so, has been focused on making sure that all of our students have equal access to the content in our courses. So accessibility and universal design has become paramount, and it's reflected in the quality rubrics. Promotion of learner-to-learner and learner-to-instructor interaction, and collaborative and community-building activities. Inclusion of various assessment types. Don't just have high-stakes quizzes. So quizzes, projects, discussions, peer-reviewed activities, all kinds of things for better and more wide-ranging assessment appropriate to the learning goals and objectives of the course. And again, aligning these assessments to the objectives. If we have only high-stakes multiple-choice tests, then we shouldn't be surprised when students are finding ways to bypass them as far as that goes. Also, the standards found in all five encourage self-assessment and formative feedback mechanisms for student reflection, not just high-stakes summative feedback, but for the idea that assessment can be used throughout the instruction so that students can see where they are and course correct before the high-stakes assessment. So the idea of providing formative feedback throughout the process. So again, so that students can find out where their holes and gaps are and improve, and not just find out where their holes and gaps are as a result of the high-stakes exam. And then finally, requiring links or instruction to access institutional resources. For instance, how do students get tech support, academic support, and accessibility services? That needs to be built inside the courses. So those are things that are common to all of these rubrics, regardless of which you choose. So let's look at their uniqueness now. So let's talk about the exemplary course rubric. Now, it was developed for the Blackboard Exemplary Course program right back in the early days of Blackboard. I mean, this was 2000. Blackboard was started in 1997 and really started becoming popular in 1999. So the Exemplary Course rubric has 53 different standards, and each standard is weighted from 1 to 5. So not every standard is equal in weight. And then there are 14 of them, which are, the 5-pointers, that are called compulsory standards. These are the deal breaker standards. These are the ones that Blackboard would expect that you would have in these courses. So the scoring is based on whether the standard is achieved versus whether the standard is not achieved. So pretty much it's a dichotomy. Does it have this or does it not have this? There isn't a lot of gradation. Well, it partially meets this standard. It's pretty much black and white. It either meets it or doesn't meet it. And then depending on how many points each of those are, that, then it will tally up a certain point value. Now, one of the nice things about the exemplary course rubric is that it is a no-cost solution. The rubric is made freely available even to non-Blackboard customers. You can go on Blackboard's site and find the exemplary course rubric, download it, and use it. You don't have any licensing fees, anything like that. And also, there are no additional resources or services provided. They provide the rubric. They don't tell you how to use it. They don't provide training on it, etc. Here it is. Use it however you want. So, when should you consider using the exemplary course rubric? Well, if you need an online course design evaluation tool, but you don't need a prescribed process for how to use the tool, you don't need additional training, certifications, or other resources from the vendor, you desire a no-cost solution. So this is a good way to have minimum quality standard rubric, a way for you to measure it without any other investment or without any training needs or anything like that. You use it however you want. So now let's look at Cal State University's Quality Learning and Teaching rubric. The rubric for online instruction was developed in 2003. Again, it's been around for a long time. And then it was later revised by the CSU system as the Quality Teaching and Learning Rubric in 2011. And so now this is a new version of that. And so since 2011, the ROI has been the QLT. It has 52 objectives, but there are no weighting of these objectives. They're all just considered, however you want to weight them. They don't weight them for you. 24 of these are called core objectives. So those are like the Blackboard ones, where these are the ones that are deemed to be the most important, the critical ones that you really need to have in your courses. Now, one big difference with this rubric is that it includes both course design and online teaching standards, whereas some of these others are just standards for the course design. So when you're using this standard, the standard was developed with the assumption that the course designer and the instructor are the same people. Now, can you modify it to kind of have two different ones? Yes, but that's not what it was designed for. It was designed really for institutions where the faculty are developing their own online courses for themselves to use. As far as the standards go, the CSU has the most standards focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion than any of the other standards. So if the inclusion and DEI of your online courses is important, this is a very good rubric for you to use. They provide examples of how the rubrics are used and scored at ocs.calstate.edu. Again, like Anthology, you can access the rubric there. You can see the examples, but you don't have to follow them. You can use this rubric however you want, and it will not cost you anything. So when should you consider the QLT? If you need a single tool to evaluate both the online course design and online teaching, you want to use a single rubric for both. If your faculty are building their own courses without instructional designers, it's just the faculty doing it all, this is a good rubric for that. If you don't need a prescribed process for using the tool, they're not going to tell you how to do it. You'd like some examples, but don't need additional training, certifications, or other resources from the vendor. This is a good one. Cal State provides the examples. If your course designers, again, are also your course instructors, and you desire a no-cost solution, the QLT is a good choice for you. So let's go on now to the OSCQR. The OSCQR was developed by State University of New York as the Open SUNY Course Quality Rubric. That's where OSCQR comes from. Open SUNY Course Quality Rubric. It was adopted by the Online Learning Consortium as part of its initial quality scorecard suite. The OSCQR has 50 standards. There's no weighting of the standards. The standards are considered to be fairly equal. There are 19 of those standards, however, that directly support regular and substantive interaction. So if your focus is on RSI, this is your rubric. So the focus of the OSCQR is a little different. It's on iterative improvement. So you score, the scoring is it sufficiently present, or does it require minor, moderate, or major revisions? And each has kind of a time estimate. And it has an action plan for each standard. So where the other ones are more like taking a course and seeing whether or not it meets a particular standard. This one is more gradated. So the Oscar is, where are you as far as each of these standards? How far do you need to go? Or do you have this down? Do you need just to do a little bit of improvement? Do you need to do a lot of improvement? So that's a unique thing for the Oscar. So the OLC course review scorecard, that one is brand new. I did this presentation a few months ago, and so I did it when it was released that month, but it's been a few months now. And if you are familiar with the other quality scorecards, like the quality scorecard for student services or the quality scorecard for evaluation of online programs that OLC offers, this one is formatted like that. So that was one of the reasons to develop this, because the Oscar was a completely different method and a completely different interface and all this. So OLC developed this one so that it would fit with the format of the other quality scorecards. There are 50 objectives, and each of the objectives are weighted 0, 1, or 2. It includes both course design and online teaching standards in separate sections. So it's a little bit cleaner in one way than the CSU is, because you could actually use this one to just look at the design of the course, and then there's a separate section for teaching. So you could use this to assess the course, and then assess the course apart from the faculty member, and then you could use this other part to assess the faculty member apart from the course design. So it's pretty versatile. Also, it focuses on improvement planning for design and delivery. How are you going to improve this? So it has sections for how you're going to improve the course design. So for these rubrics, consider the Oscar if you want ideas on how to design for regular and substantive interaction. It's the best rubric of the 5 for that. Also, if you want to have a rubric that provides for iterative improvement and action plans for each of the standards, then the SUNY Oscar is good. The OLC course review scorecard is if you want a single tool to evaluate and improve online course design and online teaching, sort of like the CSU one. You want the standards to address current topics, because this is the only one currently that has standards having to do with things like AI and student cost. But also with OLC, if you're also interested in the OLC value adds, and that's what we're going to talk about in just a second. But before we do, let's look at those OLC value adds. So the OLC, in addition to its rubric, which you can get for free, they also offer instructional designer certification. They offer a leadership development course called IELOL. They offer a scholarly journal, the Online Learning Journal. They offer books, and then quality scorecards also for online programs, blended programs, and online student services. So those are unique to OLC. Like some of the others, particularly Quality Matters, like we're going to see very soon, they offer an online teaching certificate, they offer workshops, they offer conferences, and they also offer free and paid webinars. So those are the value adds why you might consider OLC, because you not only get a rubric, but you also get these other things. So now let's look at Quality Matters, the Quality Matters Higher Ed rubric. This one was developed by Maryland Online with a federal FIPSI grant back in 2003. And so it was offered by Maryland Online until 2014, when Quality Matters became its own standalone for-profit institution in 2014. The Quality Matters rubric has 44 standards, each that is weighed either 1 to 3. So then there are 22 essential standards. Those are the 3-pointers. And it requires a minimum of 85% score across all of those standards to meet the review expectations. It's the most detailed of the 5 rubrics on alignment between objectives, materials, and assessment. With Quality Matters, it's all about alignment. And the process for Quality Matters rubric is designed primarily after the course has already been developed. It is designed to improve courses after they've been created. So the faculty member creates a course. It is submitted for a Quality Matters review using the Quality Matters rubric, and then there are recommendations for how to improve the course. So when should you consider Quality Matters? Well, if you want the most widely known and widely used rubric, that's Quality Matters. If you're focused on alignment of objectives, materials, and assessment across your courses. If you wish to use the Quality Matters process for course evaluation, because Quality Matters is not just a rubric, it is an entire ecosystem. It's an entire process for using the rubric. If you wish to use the Quality Matters course review management system, which is an online system, which is really cool, that it's a tool that you can use in your assessments that goes beyond, say, downloading a PDF or something like that. But you're also interested in the OLC value adds. So what are those? One is there is a defined process for applying the rubric. It's called APPQMR, Applied Process, applying the process for Quality Matters rubric. And there's workshops on how to use the rubric. Because it's not just, they don't just give you the rubric and say, use it however you want. They actually have a way that they recommend that you use the rubric. They also have Quality Matters Reviewer, Facilitator, and Manager certifications. So they have trainings in which you can become an expert at using and applying the Quality Matters rubrics. Quality Matters also provides course certification and course recognitions by Quality Matters. If you follow the process and things like having one of your reviewers of the course be someone external to your institution, you can actually get the Quality Matters certification applied to that course that you can advertise. And if all of your courses do that, then you can have Quality Matters give you a program certification that you can put on your website. Quality Matters also does the CLOE reports, which is a survey of Chief Online Learning Officers to talk about trends in higher ed. They also have a pretty robust site where you can access research. And they offer a teaching certificate. They offer workshops, conferences, and free and paid webinars. So when you adopt Quality Matters, you're adopting a lot more than just the rubric. So for instance, here's the the review management system, where it's aligned across all of the standards and then each of the substandards in there. And so you can use this tool to actually perform Quality Matters reviews of courses, and it stays and it archives. So what are these costs? If cost is a major consideration, well then let's look at this. Anthology has no cost. You can just download the rubric. The CSU QLT has no cost. The SUNY right now also doesn't have a cost there. Now with OLC, if you do an institutional subscription so that your whole institution has access to that, that will cost anywhere from $1,300 to $2,300, or if you're a consortium, $3,500. Workshops typically cost from $220 to $580 a piece. If you're getting a teaching or an instructional design certificate, that currently costs anywhere from $1,730 to $2,310. But you don't have any process requirements or costs for using the rubric. You can use the rubric based on that. So what about Quality Matters? The institutional subscription to Quality Matters, based on the size of your institution and how many online courses or online programs you offer, is anywhere from $1,925 to $3,815 a year. If you want to be able to have permission to offer the Improve Your Online Course facilitation workshop, then you have an extra cost for that license. And if you want to have a Design Your Own Online Course facilitation license, then theirs. And then there's a teaching online course facilitation license. So this way you can offer those workshops rather than paying OLC to offer them. So if you want permission to offer these OLC workshops, you can do that. So the workshops and certification courses to become the Certified Quality Matters Reviewer are anywhere from $165 to $550 depending on the level, and then their teaching certificate is $1,210. So the QM review process to have a course certified as QM certified, it requires QM trained and certified peer reviewers. So they have to go through this process and the training. One peer reviewer must be external to the organization. The review process will take several weeks in order to do that. It's very extensive. And certified courses and recognized courses have different requirements. They have the certification is the full-blown thing. But you can also have Quality Matters recognized courses that don't meet all of these requirements. So, what is the good news about all this? The good news is that all 5 of these rubrics are available to use for free because they're all licensed under Creative Commons. You can just download them, use them, or do like we do and combine them and mix and match them. So the rubrics can be customized or combined. The review process can be customized. Whether you have master course development like we do, or whether you have the formative evaluation can be part of the course development process rather than after the course is developed, which is also what we do. We do the course development during the time that the course is being developed by our IDs and our faculty. And so it's used as a formative tool. And so ultimately, you choose the tools and the processes that best meet your institutional needs. So let me take a look at the questions in here, and then also we have a few minutes, I believe. So I'll also, if you want to unmute and ask questions here. So let's see. Brandon says, has the copyright licensing status factored into your institution adoption decisions for a course quality rubric? Who has been involved in, well, let's see, has the copyright licensing status factored into your institution's adoption decisions for a course quality rubric? Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Because the standards, since that's not explicit as part of a lot of these standards, we actually put it in my institution standards that we developed. As far as everything has to be either owned by the subject matter expert or the ability to be licensed by the SME or the institution. And so copyright is very important. That's one of the reasons why we don't do a lot of, say, Pearson developed courses or Cengage developed courses and stuff because we don't own the copyright of any of that. Who has been involved in making customization working groups to generate agreeable standards that serve your community and still hold course faculty accountable to a high standard? At my previous institution, it was the Faculty Senate. We would create these, and whenever we did a new revision of the course development standards, which we did every few years, we would send that to the faculty council and say, okay, we want you to go over these with a fine-tooth comb. If there are any issues or deal breakers or anything like that, bring those to our attention, and we'll work together to come up with acceptable language. We've always been really successful at being able to do this. The other thing is, even though at my institution we are creating master courses, so when we're creating fully online programs, then we hire faculty as subject matter experts. They're presented by the department. The chair selects the faculty members. And then we give them a work for hire contract to develop the content for these master courses that are built with the instructional designers. And so we end up with a ready-to-teach course that is ready to teach as is. It has all the content. However, we do not lock down those courses when the faculty are actually teaching them. The faculty, nobody is enrolled in the master course, so everyone's teaching from a copy of the master, but we don't lock it down. So the faculty do have the ability to customize the course to their needs. Just the chairs will tell them, please don't change the learning outcomes, because we report those to the accrediting body. Let's see. Kay says, I thought I saw that OLC had a chatbot to help evaluate syllabi. Might be attributing to the wrong body. Are you familiar with any assessments that are text prediction that help? Obviously, security is a concern, and I'm never asking someone to disclose personal information. Yes, OLC has been developing a chatbot to assist in the evaluation of online courses. To be honest, I don't have a lot of experience using it, but I do know that it exists. And maybe for a subsequent presentation, we'll try that out and do that now. Currently, we have a 3-level evaluation process whenever a new course is being developed. So the first level of evaluation is the faculty as the subject matter expert to make sure that the course is being developed, because the course is built primarily by the instructional designer using the faculty member's content. So the faculty member doesn't have to worry about accessibility, doesn't have to worry about all of the back-end configurations of Canvas, doesn't have to build this stuff and all that. But the faculty member is the first reviewer of the course. And then the second reviewer is an instructional designer who is different than the ID working on the course. And once all of those changes are made, then it goes back to the academic department, and the department chair or that person's designee does an evaluation of the course there. And so that process has been working really well for us. So we haven't used the AI bot yet, but we will. Great question. Yeah, OLC has a ChatGPT prompt guide for self-review. Absolutely. It's available to OLC member institutions. Yes, it is. We just haven't started using it yet. Are there any, let's see, which do you think does the best checking for the new accessibility rules? Quality Matters and the new OLC scorecard are the most robust as far as accessibility goes. My college had a work group in 2019-ish that looked at different standards and created their own, which is what we did. It was a cross-campus group with different disciplines and faculty FTE represented, as well as an administrator in e-learning. That has been updated and continues to be used, but it is guidance on best practice rather than a requirement, since we do not have a formal course review process, which breaks my little ID heart. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Fortunately, I was able to establish not only the course development process, but also the course review process. Now, I have to tell you, that is just for any new fully online programs that are developed and the courses within those programs. Right now, we do not have that implemented for faculty who just put their courses online. We provide training and QM support and stuff, but I decided to pick my battles, and my battle was when we're developing a fully online program, we want it at this level of quality. So we're going to do it with the courses there. The department chairs love it because we pay all of the expenses. I pay the faculty SMEs, I pay for the IDs. So the department's not out at any upfront money. The SMEs like it, the faculty like it, because the idea is doing a whole lot of the work. And they're getting a stipend for their thing. And as part of the contract, they have an unlimited use license for all of the content that they're creating. So they don't have to give up their content to the university. So far it's been kind of a best of both worlds for us. What about online courses? What about in-person courses that are using the LMS? Have you worked with universities that are trying to set minimum expectations? Yes, I have. At my institution, we're focusing on fully online programs because I've only been here for 3 years, and again, pick our battles. But when I do consultations for other institutions, absolutely, we look beyond that, because the future is that the lines between face-to-face and hybrid and fully online are always getting blurred. So quality is quality. It is often a political challenge when you're trying to introduce quality standards to face-to-face courses. Faculty don't always like that. Tell us more about how you bring those faculty along. The way we do it is we start out when an academic department wants to develop a new fully online program. We meet with the chairs, and then we meet with all the faculty. And I bring my instructional designers. And the instructional designers talk about the weekly process of developing this. And then the faculty get the idea of, if you have to do it yourself, you have to be expert on the latest federal regulations for digital accessibility, accreditation. You have to know how to render things accessible. You have to know all of the back-end possible configurations of the Canvas learning management system. You have to build all of these things. You have to build the assessment. You have to build the grade book and all this stuff. When they find out how much of the work is being done by the ID that they don't have to worry about, they just have to come up with raw content. They like it. And the other thing is when they create their own online courses for them to teach, they don't get paid. They get paid if they're creating these master courses. So they can still create their courses for them to teach. They're creating these courses for their departments. And because we don't lock them down when they're teaching, and because we give them an unlimited use license of the content, the university is not going to enforce its copyright. So if they want to use that content for publishing, research, or even for teaching as an adjunct somewhere else, the university is not going to go after it, because what the university wants is to determine who will teach that course. And if they want to update the course later, they don't have to get the first SME's permission. So you don't have a situation where a faculty member says, no, nobody can teach the online section but me because I'm the one who developed it.
Thanks, Dr. Pina. I'm going
You
to
bet.
pause things because we have sessions starting at 1.
Yes.
But thank you so much. This is so interesting. And if anyone wants to join us in the Discord to continue the conversation, feel free.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll wrap things up. And thanks again.
And please feel free to send me an email with any of your questions. We're colleagues, so if there's anything I can help you, just aapina@ilstu.edu. And by the way, Kathy, it's $4,500 per course.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.